Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. Wanted to do a video for you guys on tracking, and more specifically, tracking at night in the context of looking for a wounded animal, more specifically, white-tailed deer. Now, there's a lot of nuances that come that are factored into tracking. I don't want this to be a really super long video because I could do probably a 3-hour video on just talking about different aspects of tracking, but I wanted to hit some key points, talk about a few things that you should have with you, and a little bit about the mindset as far as going out on a night track. Now, white-tailed deer are extremely tough. They can move a very long distance wounded, even if it's a fatal wound. And it is fall here in Michigan, and right now it's November, and it gets dark about 5:30, and it doesn't get daylight till after 7. And as we move into December, it's even less and less daylight. So there's a good chance that you're going to have to go look for a deer after dark. And one of the main reasons you might have to go look for a wounded deer after dark is scavenger activity. Coyotes will absolutely destroy your deer if it's left in certain areas overnight. So all your hard work and your preparation in your hunt can be out the window when a pack of coyotes pretty much have lunch on it. So when it comes to tracking, there's a good chance that you're going to have to go out at night looking for your animals. Evening is an extremely popular time to hunt. There's a lot of deer activity, so there's a good chance you'll hit a deer. You'll wait an hour or so to let it bleed out and then go out and look for it. Now, wounded animals will go into the densest cover possible, which means you should take some precautions when you're going out to look for a wounded animal. I'm in the Lower Peninsula of Michigan, and the Lower Peninsula of Michigan is extremely brushy. Like the Upper Peninsula and stuff, there'll be larger stands of woods, things like cedar swamps, but the Lower Peninsula is extremely brushy, and it's very, very easy to get turned around in the dark when you're looking for an animal, and it's very easy to get lost. And a lot of that has to do with you're focusing on, your trail, you're focusing on your tracks, you're focusing on your blood trail, you're looking for signs. A deer isn't necessarily going to bleed out. A deer can be hit. It can only have an entrance wound, depending on angles and stuff. It might not have an exit wound. Typically, the exit wound, if you're hunting from a tree stand, is going to be on the lower part of the body. If you don't have that exit wound, the blood can't escape. It'll collect inside the body cavity. You might not have a lot of blood to go on. There's one particular hunt that I can remember where a friend of mine shot a big doe, hit it in both lungs. That doe ran 400 yards on pure adrenaline. There was no blood in that deer cavity whatsoever when we found that deer. So a deer can lose blood. You have to go on tracking, just tracks alone, and it can go a long way before it expires. So you got a lot of things in play there. You might not have blood. It might be going into an area that's very, very dense where you have to be focused on a real specific area. You're not going to have a lot of light. You're going to be looking for things, like broken sticks and whatever. All that requires a little bit of patience and a little bit of light. And some things that I have here that I wanted to show you guys. One is you want to go out with multiple forms of light. You want to go out with at least one flashlight and at least your phone at bare minimum. And the phone needs to be charged up and ready to go. And like any good wilderness outdoor activity, you want to let somebody know where you're going, when you're going to be back, and you want to, hey, we hit a deer in Johnson's Woods. We're going to go in off M Road to go look for that deer. We're probably going to be gone a couple of hours. Somebody needs to know where you're going in case something does go sideways. Now, I prefer handheld lights like this right here because I can get that light down specifically in an area where I'm looking for that really, really fine sign that might be very, very hard to see at night. And the next thing is like headlamps. It's good to have a headlamp, but a headlamp has a broader beam, more of a flood beam, and that's not as good for looking for blood. Really small amounts of blood, like this right here, is an LED light, which has kind of a bluish tint. For really, really fine spots of blood, an incandescent light with just a plain white light is sometimes better than these, because these can actually deaden the redness of the blood if you're looking for it. Now, the reason I say I have multiple lights, at least your phone, and at least one other light, 2 would be better. I have had batteries die in these because it was a particularly long track. Even an LED light can die on you. Now, some people might say, well, carry spare batteries with you. Here's about changing batteries in the brush in a light like this at night. You can take your cap off, something can happen, and you can drop this. Now you don't have a light, and you're looking for your cap in the brush, or the same thing with the batteries. You could take the old batteries out, go to put a new battery in, it's dark, you fumble it, and you drop it on the ground. So it's better just to have a second light with you. Like I said, even if it's just your phone, because you might need that phone to call somebody. Hey, I found this deer here. It's a lot further than I thought. Maybe you can drop me off a sled so I can pull this deer out. Now, that's taken for granted. You're in an area where you got cell phone service. Most of lower Michigan, especially the southern part of lower Michigan, you're going to have some type of cell phone service. The other thing is you can get turned around really, really easy in a woodlot at night looking for an animal, because you're focused on this specific area, you're focused on this trail, and a wounded deer will zigzag, it'll double back, it'll go in circles, and I've tracked deer already that ran off in this direction, and literally 50 yards later, they made a 180-degree turn and ran back where you wouldn't expect them to go. And if they're not bleeding a lot, you miss that sign when you're in the brush, you're going to be in trouble. And when you're looking down, you're focusing on the track, you're focusing on the trail, you're not going to be as aware of what's going on around you and what your orientation is. So it's a good idea to have some type of compass or some other way to find your cardinal directions. Now, you can go by the stars and stuff, but if there's a tree canopy where you can't see the stars, there's a lot of cloudy weather in Michigan in the fall time, you might not have access to the stars, so you can't, find your North Star. So it's just a good idea to have a compass with you. Now, this is just a phosphorescent lystatic compass here. You hit it with a light, and your cardinal directions will glow for you for a few minutes. It's a good idea to take a cardinal look, when you're starting the track. Okay, if I walk back east, I'm going to hit the road where my truck is parked on. Now, I have been turned around in the woods at night, and it is a bewildering experience. 2 particular experiences I can think of. One was on a track. Just like I said, we were going through a lot of dense brush and a dense looking for the blood, and literally got turned around. Now, this is in a woods I was actually familiar with. Got turned around, like, oh man, we're kind of walking in circles here. And at night, it was a cloudy night. There was absolutely no starlight, there was no moonlight. All we had was this, and I'll tell you what, when you shine a little bit of light in a night that dark, that darkness just swallows that light, and you can literally maybe only just see a few feet in front of you if you're in a really dense thicket or whatever. So it's very bewildering. So that's why I'm making this video to prepare people if they do decide to do these activities, that they can go out. There was another one: never trust lights. Like, you go out into a wild area and you have lights, from farms or small towns or whatever. Those lights can confuse you, and you can't tell the difference between this particular area or that particular area. You might think you know where you're at, but you're really not. Now, this happened to me when I was in my early 20s. We were hunting on Harson's Island. Now, Harson's Island is a sort of a silt island that is at the mouth of the St. Clair River, and it's particularly known for duck hunting, but you can also deer hunt on it for archery. And because there were so many different lights from the different towns around there, you could sort of see Detroit, you could see Algonac, you could see these towns. And I was walking out to this particular hunting spot, and I got those lights confused. I thought I was looking at one particular town or one particular set of lights. Okay, that particular set of lights is east or whatever. Now, taking it for granted that this is dark, at night, you can't really see any stars or anything because you got the lights from the city and stuff, permeating all of that. And I actually confused one town for literally another town because I didn't know. And at that point in time, I said to myself, you know what, I need to start having a certain amount of stuff with me so I can orient myself after dark when I go out into these wild areas. But lights can be extremely confusing. You think you're looking at one light of a certain area, and you're actually not. You're looking at something different. And if you mistake that in your mind, you could be walking off in a completely different direction than what you expect. So anyway, I wanted to take a few minutes to do a video on night tracking, some of the nuances, some of the ways that you can still go out and find your animal and not get lost in the process and have to spend the night out there unexpectedly. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys got a little information and a little entertainment out of this video here. Just talking about being out in the woods after dark. You guys have a good one.